Sydney Sweeney smiled for the camera in a pair of patriotic jeans, unaware that behind the lens, Leila Hart had already disappeared. And Donald Trump's public praise of the ad would trigger a nationwide unraveling of secrets buried in denim surveillance and silence. The summer of 2025 was already strange, with AI deepfakes dominating headlines and viral trends shifting every few hours. But no one expected a denim ad to become the center of a national controversy. It began innocently enough. Liberty Legs, a relatively unknown fashion startup, launched a campaign featuring Sydney Sweeney, known for her retro looks and growing influence in pop culture. The ad had a deliberately nostalgic aesthetic, with Sweeney strolling through golden fields, leaning against a classic Ford Mustang, and posing in front of an oversized American flag. The vibe was pure Americana, mixed with sensual confidence. It felt like an intentional throwback to the 90s, romanticized, bold, and just provocative enough to stir interest without crossing a line. The moment the ad dropped on social media, it caught fire. Influencers reposted it, celebrities commented. But then an entirely unexpected figure shared it, former President Donald Trump. On his own social platform, he wrote, "Sydney Sweeney shows what real American pride looks like. Great jeans, great ad." The post detonated like a bomb. Within minutes, hashtags like Sweeney Strong and Trump Jeans began trending. Cable news picked it up, debating whether Trump was endorsing the jeans, the model, or something deeper. Analysts argued over whether it was a calculated political move or just a moment of genuine admiration. But soon, the conversations turned darker. People began questioning why Trump, known for being extremely selective in his endorsements, would support a relatively unknown brand. Liberty Legs had only launched 6 months earlier, and despite some minor celebrity attention, it had never reached mainstream audiences. The ad, they said, was good, but not extraordinary. What was it about this specific campaign that warranted a public nod from someone as divisive and calculated as Trump? Speculation surged when users online discovered that Liberty Legs was backed by a newly formed LLC registered in Delaware with no clear ownership. Its board of directors wasn't listed, and its funding appeared to come from private donors linked to various political groups. Threads exploded on Reddit and X, where amateur investigators began trying to trace the company's roots. Their efforts only deepened the mystery. Every lead seemed to dead end. More unsettling still, people noticed that Liberty Legs had started removing certain footage from its earlier promotional material. One ad in particular vanished entirely. It featured a lesser-known model named Leila Hart, whose Instagram had also gone quiet. That's when people really started paying attention. Leila's last social post was a selfie on set, wearing Liberty Legs jeans near a dusty highway, captioned, "Last shoot of the season." Posted just 3 days before Trump's endorsement, it would become the final known photo of her. As the campaign's popularity surged, questions about Leila's sudden disappearance started bubbling to the surface. And beneath all the online buzz and political spin, a chilling realization was forming. This wasn't just a fashion ad. Something much larger was being hidden in plain sight, and the first clue had just gone viral. Leila Hart's disappearance began as a footnote, a passing detail buried beneath the media's obsession with Sydney Sweeney and Donald Trump's sudden involvement in the Liberty Legs campaign. At first, no one noticed that she was missing. She was a lesser-known model, relatively new to the industry, without the kind of following that would raise alarms if she went silent. But within days of the ad going viral, sharp-eyed internet users realized something was wrong. Her social media stopped cold, her name vanished from Liberty Legs' official website, and promotional images featuring her were scrubbed from the brand's digital footprint. Her face, once front and center in teaser clips, was nowhere to be found. The timing couldn't be ignored. As interest in the ad grew, so did questions about Leila's whereabouts. Amateur detectives on Reddit launched a full-scale inquiry. They pulled screen grabs from deleted videos, matched location tags from her Instagram, and began piecing together a rough timeline. Leila had last been seen in the Arizona desert, near an old film set used for the campaign's outdoor shots. She had checked into a small roadside motel a few miles from the shoot location. Hotel staff later confirmed she never checked out. Investigators from the local sheriff's department were called in, but their initial report was brief. There were no signs of forced entry in her room, no signs of a struggle. Her belongings remained neatly packed. Her phone and purse were still on the nightstand. The only thing missing was Leila herself. Security footage from the motel captured her leaving around 11:30 p.m., wearing the same jeans she wore during the shoot. A white, windowless van pulled up beside her on the street, and she stepped inside without hesitation. The van was never seen again. The case began to gain traction when a journalist from a true crime podcast picked it up. Suddenly, the disappearance of a model from a viral ad campaign had all the ingredients of a headline story: mystery, celebrity, and conspiracy. Interviews with other Liberty Legs models revealed that Leila had been asking questions in the days leading up to her disappearance. She had been curious about where the company got its funding and why their marketing team insisted on collecting biometric data during fittings. It sounded strange, even paranoid, but in hindsight, it seemed like Leila had uncovered something she wasn't supposed to know. Pressure mounted on Liberty Legs to address the growing speculation. But the brand issued only a short statement, claiming they were deeply saddened to hear of Leila Hart's disappearance and that they were cooperating with authorities. No executives appeared on camera. No further comment was made. Behind the scenes, something more sinister was unfolding. The campaign that had started as a celebration of American style was now linked to a potential crime. As investigators struggled to track the white van and online detectives dug deeper into Liberty Legs' shadowy origins, one thing became increasingly clear. Leila's disappearance wasn't random. It was a warning. The deeper the investigation went, the stranger the Liberty Legs campaign began to appear. The glossy denim commercial that once seemed like a harmless piece of patriotic nostalgia now felt like a layered message, a coded transmission hiding something beneath its surface. Suspicion turned into obsession when a digital forensics analyst named Marco Levin uploaded a YouTube video titled "The Liberty Code." In the video, he revealed a shocking discovery. When the Sydney Sweeney ad was slowed down to 0.25 speed and paused at the 33-second mark, a brief flash of symbols appeared in the reflection of a chrome hubcap on the Mustang used in the shoot. The symbols, when enhanced and translated through a cipher found on an obscure Liberty Legs graphic posted weeks earlier, formed a sequence of GPS coordinates. They pointed to a location deep in the Nevada desert, an abandoned Cold War-era military base known as Echo Point Station. Once a testing ground for surveillance technology, it had long since been shuttered and forgotten. Or so everyone thought. The online community exploded with theories. Was Liberty Legs part of some covert operation? Was the ad campaign a front for something else entirely? Before the media could dismiss it as another internet hoax, a group of amateur investigators drove to the site, live streaming their journey. What they found at Echo Point only added fuel to the fire. The buildings were mostly collapsed or buried in sand, but one underground bunker remained sealed, until one of the investigators noticed fresh tire tracks leading to it. Inside, they found a dusty control room with rows of screens, some still powered by an off-grid generator. On one screen was a looping clip from the Liberty Legs ad. On another, grainy surveillance footage of multiple fitting rooms and photo shoots, including scenes never released to the public. Even more disturbing was the presence of a Liberty Legs garment bag, stained and torn, in the corner of the room. A single denim jacket lay folded on the floor. Tucked inside the pocket was a small metal tag etched with the initials LH. The group quickly turned over everything to the authorities, who cordoned off the site and removed all evidence. But the live stream had already been seen by thousands. The story was out. Liberty Legs made no comment, and the company's social channels went dark for 48 hours. When they returned, the entire aesthetic had changed, different colors, fonts, and slogans. It was as if they were attempting to erase the past and reset their brand identity. But the internet never forgets. More Reddit threads surfaced, and users began compiling everything: the coordinates, the tag with Leila's initials, the hidden symbols in the ad, and Liberty Legs' rapid rebranding. As the conspiracy unfolded, one question began echoing louder than the rest. Why had Donald Trump supported the ad so publicly? Was his endorsement a coincidence, or was it part of the campaign's design? The code, the disappearance, the underground bunker, it all pointed toward a calculated effort far bigger than a jeans commercial. And now, people wanted answers. As pressure mounted and public scrutiny intensified, a major break in the case came from an unexpected source. A former Liberty Legs marketing executive who had fled the country weeks before the scandal erupted resurfaced anonymously through a secure interview on an independent journalism channel. Distorted voice, face blurred, the whistleblower revealed a chilling truth. The jeans ad had never been about fashion. It was a social experiment disguised as viral marketing. The campaign was crafted with precision by a coalition of private intelligence contractors and behavioral psychologists hired under the guise of brand consultants. Their mission was to test mass influence, emotional manipulation, and data harvesting, all wrapped in denim. According to the whistleblower, Liberty Legs was a front company, funded by an undisclosed group of investors with ties to political lobbying firms and defense tech startups. The ad was part of a project known internally as OP Window, which used cultural symbols, celebrity endorsements, and nationalistic themes to provoke emotional responses. Sydney Sweeney had been recruited not just for her fame, but for her demographic reach. Donald Trump's endorsement, the source claimed, was not spontaneous. It was scripted, timed, and executed in coordination with the campaign's release. The goal was to study how specific figures could alter perception, behavior, and consumer loyalty through minimal engagement. Viewers were unknowingly feeding the operation. Every pause, every replay, every share, and every comment was recorded and analyzed. The ad was embedded with microcodes, undetectable to the human eye but trackable through frame-by-frame scanning, meant to collect device and biometric feedback through smart TVs and certain smartphone apps. It wasn't just marketing, it was surveillance wrapped in style. Leila Hart had stumbled upon pieces of this plan during filming. The whistleblower claimed she had found internal documents during a visit to the company's headquarters. The documents outlined OP Window's parameters, target demographics, and contingency plans for exposure threats. She had taken photos, confronted the production team, and threatened to go public. 2 days later, she vanished. Though the whistleblower didn't know exactly what happened to her, they stated that security measures were standard protocol when breaches occurred. The interview sparked nationwide outrage. Activists, journalists, and even some members of Congress demanded investigations into Liberty Legs, its parent LLC, and the tech firms allegedly involved. The FBI opened a formal inquiry, but cooperation was limited. Liberty Legs' executive board remained inaccessible, their offices heavily guarded or abandoned. Legal teams issued aggressive takedown notices to media outlets covering the story, citing defamation and violation of trade secrets. Yet, behind closed doors, the agency quietly gathered evidence and began subpoenaing records. The public backlash spread beyond fashion. Debates on media manipulation, privacy rights, and corporate surveillance dominated headlines. But no arrests were made, no indictments were issued. And despite all the allegations, Liberty Legs continued selling products, albeit under a different name and new branding. Still, the ghost of the ad lingered. What began as a celebration of American denim had unraveled into a chilling example of how easily reality could be shaped, sold, and weaponized, one viral video at a time. The final chapter of the Liberty Legs scandal, unfolded not with dramatic arrests or televised hearings, but with silence and disappearance. Just as momentum seemed to build around the FBI's quiet investigation, and the whistleblower says shocking revelations, the entire narrative collapsed under a shroud of fire, fear, and unanswered questions. On a rainy Monday morning in October, Liberty Legs corporate headquarters in downtown Chicago went up in flames. The fire tore through 5 floors of the building, gutting everything. Investigators later called it an electrical accident, but digital watchdogs quickly pointed out that all the company's digital servers, records, and employee files were housed there. Everything that could have proved the claims made in the anonymous interview was destroyed in one night. The whistleblower, who had agreed to meet with federal agents after their broadcast interview, vanished just days before the scheduled debrief. They were last seen jogging through a small coastal town in Portugal. A pair of running shoes and a backpack were later found near a cliff, but no body was ever recovered. Authorities ruled it an accident, though skeptics believed it was something far more deliberate. Without a witness, without evidence, and with public attention shifting toward newer stories, the Liberty Legs case began to fade. Donald Trump released a final statement addressing the controversy. In it, he claimed he had no affiliation or business relationship with Liberty Legs, and that he simply appreciated the creative energy of the ad and Sydney Sweeney's performance. The message was firm but vague, offering no real explanation. His supporters rallied behind him, calling the story a politically motivated hoax, while critics viewed the endorsement as another example of carefully staged influence. Sydney Sweeney, who had remained mostly silent throughout the ordeal, gave a brief interview to a fashion magazine stating she had been hired through her agency, had no direct contact with Liberty Legs executives, and was unaware of any underlying agenda. She expressed sympathy for Leila Hart's family, but avoided discussing the deeper conspiracy. Her career continued to rise. As for Liberty Legs, the company quietly rebranded 6 weeks after the fire. They relaunched under the name Red Edge Apparel, with a fresh logo, new mission statement, and a sudden push into international markets. Their website made no mention of previous campaigns, but sleuths quickly discovered that the corporate registration remained unchanged, and several of the same behind-the-scenes names were still linked to the brand. Leila Hart was never found. Her face became a symbol among digital privacy activists, appearing on posters and websites calling for regulation of surveillance-based marketing. To many, she was the victim of something deeper than corporate misconduct. She was the proof that truth can disappear when wrapped in influence, money, and manipulation. In the end, the Liberty Legs story left more questions than answers. What began as a denim ad became a reflection of a world where truth is curated, narratives are manufactured, and control can be disguised as fashion. And perhaps the most unsettling part is this: if it happened once, it could happen again, without anyone ever noticing.